Donald Trump's controversial comments about John McCain on Sunday, and not just John McCain, but POWs, are having some unexpected consequences, as a growing field of GOP rivals find themselves uniting against Donald Trump, with a wave of opposition that seems to be still gathering steam.
Let no one be mistaken. Donald Trump's candidacy is a cancer on conservatism, and it must be clearly diagnosed, excised, and discarded.
It is important for us to have a presidency that restores dignity and class to the White House, and I don't believe that some of the language that Mr. Trump is employing is worthy of the office. I just do not.
I think what you're seeing is a guy melting down. That it's one thing to have a reality TV show, but if you turn the presidential campaign into a reality show, you'll eventually lose because Republicans want to win.
Frank Luntz is CEO of Luntz Global and author of What Americans Really Want. Really. Frank, good to see you. So it was you to whom Donald Trump made those controversial comments that, as I say, it wasn't all about John McCain. I mean, he broadened it out to, I like people who aren't captured. But it's so many. I mean, if you want to go through the list of controversial things he has said, we'll be here all night. And nonetheless, still #1 in the polls right now. Why?
It's because he says what he thinks. He's unedited. He's uncensored. And the American people, other than wanting genuine accountability from their next president, they want someone who tells it like it is. It's not about Trump's background, and it's not even about Trump's policies, because we really don't know what they are. What it is that he says what comes to his mind, and he doesn't sound scripted, he doesn't sound rehearsed, and that 20% of America really likes that.
And he doesn't really go back on what he says. I mean, even under pressure, he doesn't really flip, and that's unusual too.
And in fact, you're doing a segment on him. It will increase his support another 10 or 15,000 people. Every time that the mainstream media focuses on him, every time someone says, hey, you got to get out of the race or you owe an apology, and he doesn't do it, there's a segment of America that says, you know what, way to go, stick it to them. Look, what he said about POWs was horrific. What he said about John McCain tells me that this is going to be the most uncivil, the most mean election campaign that we've ever had. But again, I go back to that 20% of America that's tired of politics as usual and fed up with politicians who say what they think we want to hear rather than what they believe.
I mean, he's #1 in a lot of polls. To what extent is that due to the fact that, you know, Donald Trump often says things like this? I will also say, having known him for a while, he is a funny man. He cracks jokes a lot. He sort of makes these flip comments often, you know, and you're kind of used to hearing this stuff from him. I think it would be far more shocking if you heard it from, you know, Ted Cruz or Scott Walker or Jeb Bush. So it's kind of like, this is just who he is. I don't know if he even means it. He just sort of says this stuff.
He's a great guy to hang out with. I've spent some green room time with him. I've gone to these forums that he's spoken to. I listen to him. I'm fascinated with him. I'm not saying that he's qualified to be president. I'm not saying that he should be president, but to be around. And the public likes to vote for someone who they can have a beer with. They like to vote for someone that they are captivated with.
Right, but two things before I let you go. Two things before I let you go. The GOP base tend to like faith-based candidates. They like faithful candidates. And you know, Donald told you that he's not somebody who turns to God when he's done something that he feels ashamed of. Was that the question?
And he's not going to win the nomination because of it. That Republican primary voters want someone who have a connection to their spirituality and willing to vocalize it, and that is not Donald Trump.
That was one, and the second was the shot at POWs. I mean, you alienate the military on the GOP side. If they think you mean that, I should qualify. You're in trouble.
Well, let me give you one statistic. Of all the different professions in America, there is none that is more popular across the board, Republican and Democrat, than the veteran. And among Republicans, they are sanctified as they should be. If you're seen as being anti-veteran, if you're seen as being anti-POW, you can't win the nomination. And that's going to be the focus of the Fox News debate. You know that you're going to have a food fight there, and they're going to be talking about what he really thinks of veterans and POWs.
We are getting ready for the debate right now. I can tell the audience that we have been meeting, and it has now moved into the phase where the three anchors and a couple of other folks sit down in a room, and we are hammering out our questions and what these GOP candidates would give to be a fly on the wall. But they don't get to be. It's just us. Great to see you, Frank.
Thank you.